3 Golden Eagles for War Thunder. Link in the description. Hello you sexy beasts, welcome back to War Thunder. This is the Fokker 190 D-13, a German premium tier 4 fighter at battle rating 6.0. This is pretty much the final evolution of the Fokker 190D series just before the TAR 152 came out, and well, it looks quite similar, doesn't it? Now the Fokker 190 D-13 has a loadout of 3 20mm MG151 cannons carrying a total of 750 rounds, which is quite a lot. The indicated top speed in my current configuration is 725 km per hour at 9,700 meters. Yeah, you're never going to reach there. Max altitude of 12,000 meters, a turn time of 21.6 seconds, bullshit, and a rate of climb of 17.1 meters per second. It's actually quite a bit better than that. The aircraft itself has a bit of armor, as is legendary with the Fokker 190 series. They are quite resilient, at least to the main fuselage. The wings, not so much. Now, thankfully, you do not get fuel tanks in the wings, which is a great help against American API ammunition, since hitting your wings pretty much will do nothing in terms of fire. Of course, they can still rip your wings off, but at least they won't cause any fires. The fuselage, however, yeah, it's a bit problematic. You have 3 massive fuel tanks here right around the pilot. Now, of course, from the bottom you have some steel plates, you have some steel plates in the back, you have this bulletproof glass here, and of course the headrest and the seat of the pilot, protecting it somewhat. But against side shots and shots straight from behind, these fuel tanks do catch on fire. Now, the Fokker 190 D-13 can carry a wide selection of bombs. Not that you should, however. This thing is a high-altitude fighter. Carrying bombs in a high-altitude fighter is, well, contradicting by itself. Just ignore these completely. It's not worth going for low-altitude kills with this thing. The belts are as expected. The belt I'm currently using is the air target belt, which has API, HEI, and IT tracer, incendiary tracer shells. Now, the 20mm MG151s on this aircraft are kind of a mixed bag. They're very powerful when they connect their shots. A short burst should take care of most fighters. Bombers, depends on where you hit them, you can also dispatch of them very easily. Of course, it is a big help that you have 3 cannons and a lot of ammo. However, I seem to notice that the muzzle velocity is kind of low, especially at anything over 500 meters. I have a great hard time hitting anything. Now, that might be due to me just constantly being switching around between aircraft and as such not really having time to get used to a certain armament. It also doesn't help that I haven't really played aircraft in a while. I've been sticking mostly to tanks, but I'm having a really hard time to hit anything with these cannons. Right, before we head into the gameplay, I just want to remind you that the D-13 used to be one of the best premium vehicles in the game. Now, I know that a lot of people love this aircraft, with good reason. I used to love this aircraft myself a lot. I had awesome fun in this thing. But for some reason, I don't know why, it just doesn't work for me anymore. I've played 20 games trying to get a good gameplay with this. And this is pretty much the best I had. Alright, so the gameplay you are about to see is a bit dark. I'm not quite sure if this is going to go through well on YouTube, but hopefully it will. Speaking of YouTube, my last video about medkits and AT-gems in War Thunder, I know that was very stuttery. That's not my fault. The footage you saw in that video was a recording from the stream that occurred today as of the time of this recording. Which means I couldn't really do anything about that. The stream itself was just very stuttery. But AT-gems and medkits aside, this is all about the Fokker 190 D-13. Now, the D-13 does have a very good climb rate. As you can see, I'm climbing at about 20 degrees, holding an indicated airspeed of around 290-300 kilometers per hour without any problems. This thing can climb. However, that's pretty much the only thing it can do. The strengths of the Fokker over 90 D-13 lie in the climb rate, the roll rate, which is actually absolutely fucking amazing. This thing rolls around like, I don't know, a hamster on crack. Metaphors. And of course, the amount of guns. I think it does have quite a good burst mass. Yes, that's the right word. Sadly, it has a couple of problems. Now, the climb rate helps a lot in a energy fighter. But then again, I can't really call this thing a energy fighter. It seems like I remember this thing having a lot more energy retention. Every time I played this thing in the last 20 games, I found myself diving onto an enemy, and when I tried to go back up, I had nowhere near the altitude I had before. It seems like they reduced the energy retention of the D-13 a little bit. Even though it has an amazing climb rate, it just doesn't hold its energy very well. And that is especially true when you go for turns. Even going in downward turns. So normally what I do to keep my energy up is to go into a split S down, so that I gain some speed in exchange for altitude. Even then, you barely gain any speed, and you lose all your altitude. The problems with the D-13 really are that you can get up to altitude, yes, but first of all, you have to bet on your enemy going up to altitude as well. And not quite as much as you, because there are other aircraft that can climb as well, or even better than you. The Griffin engine Spitfires, for example. The F8F, especially the F8F, is the bane of your existence. Now, of course you can contradict that with side climbing, but I found that if I tried to go for the maximum altitude, making sure that I was the highest member, the highest player on the map, I just found myself, well, not participating in the battle at all. There's always this kind of weird trade-off between going for altitude, having the altitude advantage, and actually being able to score kills, because when you go up to altitude, most of the stuff is down below you. And if you dive, yeah, if you dive, you die. That's the problem here. Now we're facing off here against a Spitfire 14. Yep, that's a Griffin engine Spitfire. Now the Griffin engine Spitfires are a bit heavier, so I thought I could turn fight him, but no. The D-13 is a truck. It is a bus with wings. This thing does not turn whatsoever. Even with landing flaps enabled, I can barely manage to stay in this guy's ass. I can already see the camo, and so you guys are going to complain about me dogfighting with the Spitfire at low altitude, and I know, it is stupid, but I'm surrounded by some friendlies here. And if I go away, the thing is I have no chance of going away. If I don't stay turning with this guy, I don't have the acceleration to get away from him. The Griffin engine Spitfire has an insane amount of acceleration, something that the D-13 just doesn't have. And once you find yourself at low altitude and low speed, you are dead. If you are alone, you are dead. As you can see, a short burst there took care of his left wing. Now this is another Spitfire diving on us. We are all at low altitude now, half of our team is at low altitude, and this is generally a death sentence for the German team. German teams at low altitude tend to not win many battles. However, in this gameplay it actually worked out in our favor somewhat. As you can see, the D-13 just does not turn whatsoever, and I know, if I got some D-13 up in one word, it's just frustrating. It might just be my head that's playing tricks on me. It might just be that I have forgotten how to play aircraft, how to play energy fighters in particular, how to play the D-13. But I remember this thing making much more fun. It used to be very fun to fly. It was very responsive, it had great energy retention, great climb rate, and the guns would just destroy everything you hit. Now, I don't know, it just seems to have lost its energy retention, it doesn't accelerate, it overheats if you use your web too hard, and if you don't use your web, well, good luck, you're not going to accelerate. Even worse. And yes, it climbs well, but once there's something above you, your climb rate isn't going to save you. And that's really the problem here. Once you dive down on your first enemy and there's an enemy above you, you are immediately at a disadvantage. Anything that is at your altitude has all the aces against you. You're not fast enough, you don't have the acceleration. You can dive, but diving means you lose even more altitude, which means they're just going to eventually catch you later. Oh, that was a beautiful burst. That F8F, never saw it coming. Beautiful burst connected with the fuselage, took him out. Just a pilot out, actually. But that's pretty much all you can do. And the guns, man, the guns, these are MT-151s. I don't know why I just perform so badly with them. I just can't hit shit. Like, literally, I can't hit anything. When I find myself at turns, of course it doesn't help that the Fokker 190 has a absolutely horrible turning radius and turning time. This thing turns like a bus. It helps that there's a great roll rate, but that only really helps you in evasive maneuvers, not so much when trying to actually get your guns on target. It helps somewhat, but the instructor kind of messes you up, as is with all D-13s and the Fokker 190 D series and the TA 152, and just overall very challenging to play this aircraft. Nice Spitfire diving on us, F8F as well. Try to go for the high here. The Spitfire is going too fast. He knows that he can't pull up with me without breaking his wings. Loop around, have my combat smoke engaged. The F8F breaks his wings. The American Spitfire is on the tail of our TA 152. Fokker 190 goes for him. I could take the shots here, but he's already on fire, so he decides not to go for him. And that's a Spitfire 11 Mark 9. Now that thing does not have a Griffin engine. That thing has a Merlin engine. And that thing can turn. Pretty much the next minute or so is just me trying to get my team to get shots at this guy, but it's just not going to work. The lower you go, the more time you spend at low altitude, the worse for you. This thing has to stay at high altitude, but there's a problem. If you stay at low altitude, you're not going to get any kills. The best scores... okay, let's be fair here. I could consistently get 2 kills per match in the Fokker 190. That is true, I could consistently get those scores. However, 2 kills isn't all that great, really, at least not for me. In any other aircraft I can do much better. Well, I say any, of course, not any. But if you give me a Spitfire, I can get 5 kills. In the Fokker 190 D-13, I just can't get past 2 kills. And it's all down to having... Oh god, I'm on fire. Oh god, I'm on fire. What did I tell you about the fuel tanks? Oh god. Yeah, that was the death of me. Spitfire's still alive. We are so screwed. But yeah, to recap the Fokker 190 D-13, I don't like it anymore. It's frustrating to fly. It really is frustrating to fly. It used to be an amazing aircraft. It was awesome. Just absolutely awesome. I could get so many kills, have so much fun flying this thing. And nowadays I just can't. I just don't seem to perform at all. I can't aim the guns. I can't. That's also down to the thing just not turning. It just does not turn. Just don't try to turn. Whatever you do, don't turn this thing. It is an absolutely awful turning speed. The roll rate is awesome, but yeah, roll rate doesn't help you get kills, at least in most situations. The energy retention just isn't there anymore. For a 6.0 aircraft, the energy retention just isn't there. You lose so much energy. You just bleed off so much speed in the turn. It's unreal. And the climb rate is good, but it doesn't help when your only real advantage is the climb rate, and you constantly face enemies that can climb as well or even better than you. F8F Bearcats, Spitfires with Griffin engines, even the normal Spitfires that don't have Griffin engines, the Merlin Spitfires like the LF Mark 9, they cannot climb you, or at least get up to altitude with you. And once they are there, you have no chance, because you can't really outspeed them, and you can't out-accelerate them. They will catch up to you, no matter what you do. You can try to dive, but what's the use of that? You're losing your altitude advantage. That's really the only advantage you have in the Fokker 190 D-13. So, would I recommend buying the Fokker 190 D-13? It depends. If you are a good energy fighter, if you are a good boom and zoomer, if you know what you're doing and you have the patience, then yes, this aircraft can be very good. It has great cannons, I just don't know how to aim them. However, if you're just your Joe average player who wants to get a premium aircraft that gets him a lot of score, go for the Tempest. The Tempest overall is just much more versatile than this thing. But anyways, those are just my experiences. Of course, I can see the Comet devolving into a shitstorm. Because yes, I fully admit that I am not as good as at aircraft as I used to be. I find myself playing tanks much more often now. But I just don't believe that I forgot that much that I just can't play the Volkov 190 D-13. There's something happening to it, and I don't know exactly what it is. Anyways guys, tell me your comments and your experiences in the comment section down below. Make fun of me if you want to, I'll be completely fine with that. On the upper right corner you can now vote for the next vehicle to be featured. And well, as always, leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new around here, and my name is MikeGoesBoom. Thanks for watching.
You can lift your head up to the sky, take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind. Or instead you could always stay. We can wait right here and play until somehow you can find a slightly better